Good afternoon, everyone. This is a Wirral Nutrition Live with Zoe Morris, Clare Bowers and myself, Graham Coath. Thanks for joining us. Today, I'm surrounded by two very strong women who are going to talk to you about their personal and business journeys. So let's kick off. Let's introduce everybody. Zoe, tell everybody who you are so that they know.
I'm Zoe Morris and I run Wirral Nutrition, which is a nutrition club in Champions Business Park in Upton on the Wirral. And I've had this club since September last year, and it's going from strength to strength. And I help people on a daily basis with their body and health goals. But I've been on quite the journey myself, which is some of what we're going to talk about today. Because what led me to sort of bring this about was hearing Clare's story, and there were some similarities in our journeys which led me on to do what I do now. So that's why we're here.
Fantastic. And it's telling stories that really help people understand where we've come from and where we're going in terms of business. So Clare, introduce yourself as well, please.
Yes, so I'm Clare. I am a psychotherapist by trade, and I am also the co-founder of a global networking platform called Leading Ladies in Business, where I met the lovely Zoe.
There you go. So Zoe, I think you recognised with Clare a little bit almost like a soulmate, really, or someone that you had synergy with, because you've been on a bit of a journey yourself. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I actually only met Clare just a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, Clare? The end of February at Clare's own event, her Leading Ladies in Business event. And I'd been to one in the January, which was my first ever Leading Ladies event, and I loved it. So I went back in February. And at the February one, a couple of weeks ago, Clare was actually there in attendance herself. And that was where I heard her story. So before that, to be perfectly honest, the reason for me attending the first one in January was because two of my already friends and connections from the Move community were hosting it. And that's how I saw it, how it came about that I went to January. So I went back in February, met Clare, heard her story. And there was that just really made me want to continue on being involved in Leading Ladies in Business, because I knew the why, I knew the backstory and the why as to why it came about. And even though some of Clare's story is about being a single mum, I'm not a mum, only a rescue dog, no human children. But there were still similarities in what really resonated with me was about how women constantly get pulled off in different directions all the time. And something that I'm consciously trying to do and have been trying to do am doing for the last couple of years is stay in my own lane. So I consciously try and do that on a daily basis, because there's so many distractions and challenges on your time and attention. And that was what really stood out from when Clare told her story. Because, I mean, if you want to say a little bit of your story, Clare, because then people will understand what it was that I saw.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So I love that, and I love hearing that, because when it's your own journey, you think, as a woman in business, I even said it yesterday, believe it or not, I couldn't believe the response that Leading Ladies was having. And I've still got to pinch myself a little bit. Why do people want this? Why do people want to see us? Why are we attracting, 150 women yesterday to our events? Why is this happening? And it's the self-doubt that massively holds us back, as a human, not just as a woman in business, as a human, your own voice. So that's my that's my take on it. That's the therapy side as well of why we hold ourselves back. But my journey started really, really young. So I joined the Royal Navy at 16, and I became a Royal Navy engineer. Now, I was only one of 4 women on a course of, I'm going back a little time ago now, but I was one of 4 women on my engineering course. Now, there was 40 men. That I was smaller. I was, really petite growing up, and I liked what I did, and I did the engineering really, really well. But constantly through the Royal Navy, it was a case of, if anyone is behind that woman, you're doing another lap, you're going so that would now, me on my journey at 16, I'd be like, I'm running faster. So these are doing another lap. I'm going to make that work as well. But then when I hit my 20s, I became a mum to my now not so little, nearly 18-year-old son. And I became a mum, and my whole confidence, self-belief, if that was me running on that track and someone would have said that then as a mum, so only 4 years later, really, I just slowed down and I just let them overtake me, because I became a people pleaser. I became, what if everyone judged? I was a young mum. This is before Facebook and everything else. That's how this was before everything. So when I became a mum, that's when my self-confidence, self-belief, really my identity as a woman started to fade. I started to get pulled left, right and centre. I didn't know. I was in a really, really awful relationship. I got pregnant again, and I had Emmy, my daughter, who's, again, she is still little though. She takes after me. She's not tall at all. He's nearly 17, so a year apart. Can you imagine being a mum at 21 and then having 2 babies? I was dead strong. I was independent. I lived in Portsmouth and Plymouth. I booked flights to Malia on my own, like at 17, 18, 19. I was living the best life. And it just, when I became a mum, my whole world just turned upside down, inside out. You name it, happened. And it wasn't until I had my 3rd child, who is now 7, that I started to, and I definitely think it's about who you surround yourself with, because my now husband is incredible, and he's like my #1 supporter. And me leaving the school setting 7 years ago, because I went into education then, and I became that social emotional behavioural support within the school setting. My husband is like the biggest cheerleader, and I genuinely don't think 7 years ago I'd have been able to make this move into being self-employed. It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying, because you're making your own money. It's you, whatever you do this month, that determines next month. So you can never ever stop. So I think my confidence and my self-belief as a woman, it was so high, so high, and then it just went boom, hit rock bottom. I was probably like I was alone. I was on my own. I didn't think I could talk to anyone. I was so embarrassed. I used to wear an engagement ring. I used to live in Woolton Village, and I used to wear an engagement ring. I was separated, single mum, but I was still walking around with an engagement ring on, so that people at the library and people at the water fields wouldn't judge. Like, that's awful. Like, I never want anyone to feel like that if I can help them. And then obviously when I had Aurora and I came out of the school setting, and leading ladies is what I'm giving out to other people, what it was for me as well.
What you so desperately needed.
Still now, absolutely. I still need days where I am on with you today and you guys are filling my cup up. So even though people say to me, can you come and do this talk? Or can we have a chat? Can we have a coffee? They think that it's for them, and actually it's not. It's for me as well. Because no matter how successful your business is, and that's what we'll talk about, I suppose, about what people think success is and how it looks a lot bigger from the outside than actually the struggle and the action on the inside. But no matter how successful you are as a business owner, we still all get them days as humans where we don't feel successful. We want to give it all up. We don't want to move forward. And if you don't have them days, then you are a robot.
You're not a human.
You are not.
I just want to say, Claire, I was just listening, and taking it all in. But if anybody is watching, we've got 3 hearts already. So it's really striking a chord. If you want to respond or put a question to either Zoe or Claire, please do put that in the comments, and I'll make sure that they see that and respond. Zoe, you've told me your story several times. Tell us a bit more about your story as well.
Yeah, so I used to be so similar again to Claire, where my career was different. I was also a super confident, independent 16, 17-year-old. I went out to work when I was 17 full time, started off in an optician's, worked my way up and eventually became not only an optician, a qualified optician, but also the retail director of a large multiple opticians. And I did that for over 20 years. And then it just wasn't in alignment with me anymore. I'd been through a lot of stuff in my personal life, including a very difficult relationship as well. So again, that's where the similarities came in, why it all resonated with me. And then I made the decision to move on from that career. But the trauma of the past decade all kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. And I went from being this person that had been putting this brave face on, this game face on to run my business and run a home and care for another human being, whilst not being treated well at the same time. Overnight, I was in the throes of complex PTSD and I was in a really, really bad way, mentally, physically, emotionally. I was just on the floor. And it was like I almost couldn't believe that was me as well. Like, you know, how can you go from being this person that everybody else looks up to and thinks is this super strong human to the one that needs all the love and support and doesn't really know what to do with themselves? So, and as a result of all that stress and trauma, I'd also gained a lot of weight. I was really unhealthy and in a bad way health-wise. And then it was a chance meeting. I was on the beach one day with my friends doing one of the things that I promised myself I would do when I gave myself the time out from moving on from that other career. And just a chance meeting, this couple, Sarah and John Paul, who are now like very treasured friends and my upline mentors in this business. And everything changed. So it was an opportunity where I could not only get healthy myself, mentally, physically, and emotionally, but also a new career opportunity. So it was literally life-changing. And then fast forward like 18 months, I now run my own nutrition club. And I'm helping like nearly 100 other people change their lifestyles and you know, improve their lives in so many ways. So that's where there were a few little similarities there between mine and Claire's story, because I can identify with that feeling of like, you know, losing your identity because you've been so focused on caring for and looking after other people and stuff like that. So I've sort of turned lots of negatives into positives and gone on to use it in a really rewarding way.
How do people start to turn that negative past or the negative experiences that you've had previously into a positive energy? Because that's what a lot of people will want to know. How do you harness what has been before and turn that into something that's actually going to start changing the world? Claire?
I'd say the people you surround yourself with is the very first point of call. Mm-hmm. I would say, like what Zoe's just said, look at our two stories, look at our journey. We detach from certain people in our lives, certain relationships, which isn't easy. And I know people will go, well, hang on a second, you know, how do you do that? How do you just go? It's not easy. I'm not going to lie. It's not just like people joke around and say, I've got these scissors, and they say, oh, she's going to get the scissors out. And it's true. I am going to get the scissors out. If you are not healthy for me, whether you are providing me with an opportunity that's going to put 50 grand in my bank, if you are not healthy for my mental health and well-being, for what I need for my children and my family, you are not, you don't deserve to be in my life. And that's not me thinking, oh my goodness me, I've got this incredible, you know, it's not, it's me protecting myself and having boundaries. So my top tip on that would be to identify the people around you and just give them a score from 0 to 10 and ask yourself, how do they make you feel? Not what do they provide or what do they provide to your life? How do they make you feel? And if they score low and it's a 1 or a 2, I want you to ask yourself, why do I surround myself? Because you'll find you're actually surrounding yourself with people you don't want to be around because you're scared of what they'll say, what they'll think, or what they'll say to somebody else about And that's just people pleasing. So myself and Zoe have moved away, have stepped away from toxic people in our life. And even not so toxic, the person who you need to distance yourself from might be someone who's not toxic, but they're just not filling your cup up. They're actually deflating you. They're actually making you feel great. So don't feel bad about I'm no longer connected with family members, and I always say to people, just because people are family and just because the blood, and I know this is going to come across really harsh and people are going to interrupt, oh my God, don't upset me. But I've come away from family members, it's been a year to date that I haven't spoke to my eldest sister because, we're not connected anymore. We're not aligned. We're blood, and I love her very, very dearly. And I'm sure that works the same way, but we just don't align our values, our mission on. And that's not me. That's me being honest. You get one life, life, gift. It's not promised. Tomorrow's not promised. So you and put you first and get rid of all of the people, push them aside, have a healthy conversation with them, adult to adult, and say we're no longer aligned anymore and we need to separate and put ourselves first. So although that's harsh, that's my number one tip.
It's a great tip. And actually, Zoe, you've used the word aligned when we've spoken quite a few times. And that really resonates, doesn't it?
Well. Yeah, it's setting boundaries. And if you think about it, everything is energy, isn't it? Everything is energy. And when you think about your own energy levels and filling your own cup and all of that, and what you're giving out to other people, what you're receiving back, if you're receiving too much negative energy and your own cup isn't being filled, you've got nothing left. You end up with nothing left to give. And that's exactly the position I found myself in. And that's what's led me to on this path, on this journey of like sort of self-discovery, learning like self-worth and self-care. And I now prioritize that above everything else because I see the value in it now. So my self-care stuff goes in my diary first. And even my business comes after. So if somebody wants to make an appointment with me, if I've already got something that's self-care in my diary, it's non-negotiable. That is non-negotiable because I've been through trauma and I've been in the depths of despair and I ain't going back there. And I know that when I do that, that's what keeps me where I am. And that's why I can now help so many other people because I fill my own cup all the time. And I think everything you just said, Claire, is basically what I've done as well. Like my sister, a few years ago, she went on a sort of similar journey to me, a little bit ahead of me. And she was one of my biggest, and still is one of my biggest cheerleaders and supporters. And I used to think she was really cutthroat at one point. When I was giving to everyone else, I used to think, my God, what's happened to her? She's just turned into this woman who like won't tolerate anyone and she's cutting people out. And I did used to think she was really cutthroat, but I get it. Like, over a period of time, I've learned like why she's done what she's done. And now I do exactly the same thing. And it's not that you necessarily have to cut people out of your life completely, but some people you just need to keep it. Set boundaries and keep them at a distance where you know that that's a safe distance away.
Yeah, I mean, taking Helen's comment there, I mean, it's incredibly sad, if it's someone like your mum or your dad or someone that close to you in your family, but ultimately. And it could be what is seemingly a little thing, but if they just continually use negative language around everything that you do, it just grates away, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's just like, oh, but I don't like the way you do this, or I don't like the way you do that. I've got a problem with the way you do this, etc. It's not great for you to be in that situation time after time.
You don't even need to, like Helen's example there, it was really great. You don't even need to be negative, or it doesn't need to be fueled with animosity or anger. It really doesn't. It's a conversation to say, look, this is how I'm feeling. One of the best tips in therapy is when you go into a conversation with someone that's going to be sensitive, it's about talking about your feelings. When you did this, Graham, it made me feel X, Y, and Z, because someone can't argue with your feelings. Where if I said, well, actually, when you did this, Graham, my business X, Y, and Z, you can go, well, actually, no, Claire, it didn't. But as if you go in and say, this is how it made me feel, being honest and communicating with people around you and giving them that chance, like what Zoe said, you don't need a pair of scissors. I really haven't got a pair of scissors, I promise.
You have.
I'm going to get in the post now. You don't need to have scissors. You can say to someone, look, this is how I'm feeling when I'm around you. You make me feel X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Am I taking this too? And don't ever sit with someone who makes you feel uncomfortable, because not only are you sitting there thinking, oh my God, I shouldn't be. You're going against your morals, your values, your upbringing, everything else. And Graham, you said just then about Helen's comment, it's really sad because it's someone like your mum. Well, actually, society, the people who are around us, who we're expected to get along with, and just because we've had, I love my mum. My mum is my best friend, and I could say to Helen, "Oh my goodness, how would you fell out with your mum?" Like but Helen's experience of the word mum isn't my experience of the word mum. And sometimes we project that onto other people. So our experience of school and our experience of relationships and our experience of having a mum, that journey belongs to us.
Yeah.
That belongs to us and our experience. Just because someone else is, Helen's experience of a mum is completely different to mine. So when you're talking to someone, try not to bring your experience and your emotions and your triggers into that conversation. Like, well done, Helen, for setting boundaries, not only for herself, but for her children. And I can guarantee possibly that Helen's children, when she had her children, her awareness to her mum's behaviours become heightened. So because she's protecting somebody else. So Helen might not have protected herself for years and years and years, but as soon as those little ones came along, it's, hang on a second, you can treat me like this, but you're not getting to my babies. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
How much of it is societal expectations that causes all of this problem in the first place? And is that something that is getting better as we get more culturally aware, or is it actually worse because of things like social media?
A bit of both, I'd say. When you know me fairly well, Graham, and you know what I'm like about societal stuff anyway. I'm quite I'm one of these people that sort of doesn't like to go with society norms. I don't believe that everyone should just get married because that's what we're supposed to do. I haven't got children, and I'm a single lady, and the amount of times that I get asked similar questions, or people think that they've got the right to make statements to me about me being single or me not having any children. Like, so I've just turned 40 recently. Oh, you've not got a man yet?
Yeah, like it's your fault, or
like
there's something wrong with you. Yeah.
Because, like, hang on. I'd rather be single and free and have freedom and liberty and, than the relationships I've been in. A million times better to be single.
Why do you have to justify that? Why do you
I know.
People asking those questions or making those comments? I'm sorry, but I'm a mum of 3. I've got an incredible husband. I've got a dog. I've got a house. I've got a business. I've got, that's me. And one of the things that we say in our family, so me and my husband, we say our 4 walls, and we say whatever happens in our 4 walls, that's our number 1 priority, and then everybody else comes next. And Zoe, I exactly what you just said around society. I work with children aged 7 to 17, and it's, Graham, you asked if it was getting better. I don't think society is learning. I think our children and our next generation are looking to social media and looking to, what their life should look like, and they're looking to society to guide them, where we had our parents, we had our peers, we had our teachers, were massive role models for us growing up. These children have got strangers who are telling them what's right or wrong. They're embedding those values that we learned from our grandmothers, our grandparents, you don't talk, an adult is speaking when they're having a conversation, just again, respect, and you don't put your feet up on you know, the amounts of children I see putting their feet up on chairs, like on the train or on a bus, or, you know, no, like, you don't put your feet somewhere that someone else is going to sit on. Like, that's something, but that's what they're seeing all over Instagram and, you know, all of these influencers and stuff. It's just, and I think in business as well, I think we always look left to right as society of what should we be doing, what shouldn't we be doing. And I love the fact that you said before, Zoe, your own lane, because I am all for that. Stay in your own lane, focus on yourself, you know, get support from other people who are in their lane. You just do you, and because you are the only person who knows your business inside your head. You were gifted that vision for that business to then support those people. So don't look left, don't look right, because they were gifted another vision. They're on another journey. They can't support you. So what they say is right and wrong, unless it's something to do with their niche in terms of tax or, you know, social media trends, and, you know, and they know what they're talking about. If it's not that, and if they're trying to come into your space and say, no, Zoe, you shouldn't be doing that with 100 people. You should really knock it down to 40 people. Like, excuse me, I've got this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Yeah. I'm okay.
I honestly believe in some ways it is actually getting worse, because I think, you know, we're seeing with things like social media, we're seeing a mirror of perhaps what we should look like or what we should be, etc., and what the expectations are. And, you know, and as much as the rhetoric is inclusion and celebrating difference, etc., it doesn't, the two things don't tie together quite often. In fact, what we see is, on the one hand, people saying that stuff but then following everybody else. And it's, you know, I always love that Groove Armada song, you know, if everybody looked the same, we get tired of looking at each other. Because I just think that message of, why don't we just celebrate difference and just allow people to be, as you say, in their own lane? That's really what it's all about, isn't it?
People are doing, and especially businesses and schools, and you know, again, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but people have got these boxes to tick now in businesses and in schools and in society, and it's a case of, you know, tick, that box ticks, we're okay. You know, we're not going to get shouted at by somebody else. And people aren't ticking boxes, and they aren't doing things within their business or their corporate work setting because they want to genuinely do that. They're doing it because of the amount of pressure on the shoulders from someone else to say, hang on a second, you haven't got a woman working for you, or you haven't got a man on that panel, or you haven't got this, or you haven't got... And that's one of the things about leading ladies. The biggest pressure on us every single day is around it being a female networking platform. It's not the social media, it's not the sales, it's not the bank balance, it's not our team, it's not getting people to the events. It's that title, leading ladies in business, that comes back on us every single week after week after week. And I don't care, you don't open a tin of beans and get loads of spaghetti. We are what we say on the tin.
You're on seal, absolutely. So, sorry, how does that affect people's health? I mean, you're helping people with their health. You're seeing them coming through. You know.
Well, again, like another thing that resonated when I met Claire and when I heard her story was because she mentioned about women being put. You know, women get to a point in business, particularly in life in general, but in business in this context, where they're just about to reach a breaking point, they're about to have a breakthrough, about to have a major success, and then something else in their life drags them back. And I think women, mums, and this can be said for men as well, but I think women especially, because we're like the mother figure of a household or a family, there's all these things that can drag you back. And it takes with some women a long time to actually get to the point that I got to. I got there because I sort of was at breaking point and got to the depths of despair, and I had to drag myself back up again. But so it takes a lot of women quite a while sometimes to recognize that actually I've got to start putting me first now, because I've got myself to this point where I'm actually really unhealthy. In some cases, you know, they're overweight as well. They've just been putting everybody else top of the pile and them at the bottom. So by the time people come to me, they usually have only just recognized that. But sometimes we're talking about people who are in their 40s or 50s whose children are about to be adults by the time they actually get to the point where they go, okay, I better sort this now. So I see all sorts of weird and wonderful health conditions cropping up that can be as a result of layers and layers and layers and years of non-self-care, putting themselves last, caring for others. You know, pressures from trying to work full time or have a job and, you know, have all those other responsibilities. More and more women as well, who it's not just about children now, it's about because the older generation are living longer, so there's more and more women who are actually carers for elderly parents and they've got children as well, so it's like the double.
And food's such a dangerous thing, because we kind of adjust, if we're not careful, we kind of adjust the way that we eat and then look after ourselves and exercise, because we've got this going on and we've got that going on, and you know, so we kind of put things down, and we you know, we live in a world of convenience as well, don't we?
Yes,
We live.
Thing me and you have spoken about before, Graham, is like the rise of like convenience, everything, but you know, convenience, junk food, it's all rubbish. It's all rubbishy stuff that's just there for people to grab and go, and they can order it and it's at their fingertips really fast. And it is just generally bad stuff, but people don't realise the impact of when they're already living quite a stressful existence, and then they're not nourishing their body either. And that's exactly where, you know, the point I got myself to, and that's why I want to help as many people as I can and re-educate as many people as I can to change lifestyles and communities so that we can start.
And Claire, that's important for you as well, isn't it? I mean, you know, if you're leading ladies in business as well, that way round, leading them, you know, leading them in terms of the fact that they need to be living a healthy lifestyle and focusing on them first so that they can lead. Because I think that's one of the really important things about leadership, full stop, is that we forget, people need to know how to lead. None of us are born natural leaders in business, right? We have to learn those skills. But also, you know, we have to learn how to look after ourselves so that we can then help everybody else that we are trying to help in the world.
Isn't it funny? We try and, you know, we try and support everybody else, and our own health, you know, decreases as a result of that. So that's not sustainable, but our mind won't tell us that. So the fact are, if you want to help more people, fill your own cup, make yourself happy, really healthy, and then you can give to more. You know, you can give to the many. You know, you can give to however many people you want to then. But you can't, you're going to just keep giving, crashing. Imagine if that could be sustainable, and you could actually keep supporting your family, keep supporting your, you know, your business and everything else. But you could also support yourself at the same time. And you're right, Graham, we're not all born, you know, leaders. And I think one of the things about me being a leader within the Leading Ladies in Business, which I've never actually looked at, by the way, like the word actually leading ladies in business, because this community leads the way, absolutely 100%. I think one of the best things about being a leader is that you are a good listener. You know, you've got all of those skills, like what you said, but you've got to do that for yourself as well. You've got to listen to your own body. I'm sure Zoe will agree. You've got to listen to what's going on for you before you can lead anybody else anywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic conversation today. For all of those people that have been watching, and there's quite a few that have been watching today, and I'm sure more will be watching. Hello, as the day goes on. Final tip from both of you, you know, where do you start? You know, if you're in a situation at the moment, which, you know, you're not in the place where you want to be, you're not looking after yourself, you're not in your own lane, where do you start? Claire?
I was going to say come to the Leading Ladies Network and platform. There might be, you know, other humans watching.
Hello, other humans.
And the robots. You think
there's plenty of those these days.
My top tip would be, you know, Graham, you just asked, you know, where do you start? Where do you want to be? Like, let's not look at 5-year projections. That's for your business plan. That's for your, that's for the business side of things. Where do you want to be? What's your why? And you can say, oh, I'm doing this for my mom, or I'm doing this for, my kids. No. You, the human. So what does Claire, what does Zoe, what does Graham, what do you want? So what do you want from the next month? What do you want to see in the next 3 months? Like, where do you want to be? Like, whether that be your health, whether that be your business, whether that be your community, what is it that you want? How do you want to feel? What do you want your thoughts to sound like? And what do you want your behaviors? So if you want any of your feelings to change, if you want to feel happier, what are you going to do about that in the next 3 months? If you want your thoughts pattern, so if you're someone who's constantly beating yourself up, or you're telling yourself, I'm too overweight, or I can't play with the kids, or what's your 3-year then? How do you want to feel? What do you want them thoughts to change into? Do you want to be someone who wakes up instead of saying, oh, I can't be bothered today, I just feel really, really rubbish? Do you want to be that person who wakes up and goes, you know what? I've got this. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit. I'm a human, but I want to get up. I want to do this. I want to live today the best. Because like what we said, tomorrow is not promised. So today has got to be whatever energy you've got. Put it in the today. Or do you want a behaviour to change? Do you want to stop smoking? Do you want to go to more networking events? Do you want? What is it that you want within the next month, the next 2 months, the next 3 months? And let's just start today, just by doing something very, very little that is going to get you that end result within those 3 months, whether it be, picking up the phone and telling someone that you're struggling with something. That might seem like something little, but it's not. It's huge for you. It's absolutely huge. So do something for you every single day that gets you to that, that goal.
Yeah. So I'm sure you're going to echo that.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I mean, Claire's a psychologist, so I may as well just build on what she said rather than coming up with a new one. But I think, just leading on from that, then look, when you think about the answers to those questions that Claire's just mentioned, then have a look at who you have in your, anywhere in your life, whether it be on social media or wherever, who is emulating that type of behavior and the sorts of things that you want to achieve, and surround yourself with those people. But before you can surround yourself with them, follow them, copy what they're doing, duplicate as much as you can about what they're about and what they do, who they're friends with, who they're following, the types of things that they spend their time doing. Because when you start doing that, your life will start to change in a similar way. And that's basically what I did. And I think pretty much what Claire's done as well. So that's part of our journeys too. So we've been there, done that, and, walked the path.
Absolutely.
And you're both building communities, which will overlap and will have a lot of synergy between them as well. So I think that's been an incredibly helpful conversation for people. Now, if you're out there and this has resonated with you today and you want to know more, Zoe and Claire are very approachable. Please just connect with them on social media, have a chat, send them a note. They're not going to bite. No scissors are going to come out, I promise.
Can we add a disclaimer, like no scissors were used during the recording?
Absolutely, we'll put that in right afterwards. But please do reach out. Don't leave it. Just because, as Claire said, starting with just reaching out and talking to someone is, sometimes the best way to get started with this. As you find people that can help you and that are prepared to listen, then that's when you can start making these changes. Zoe, Claire, thanks for talking today. This has been Wirral Nutrition, talking to you live on various platforms. If you've enjoyed it, please do give us a like and share it with someone else. If you know someone that needs this, share it with them. Bye for now.